Okay, let's start. Again, my talk is going to be about let's go online, how to make your participants love your workshops. So before giving a talk, yeah, I speak to first when I'm nervous. So you see that I'm nervous, so I'm trying to be slower. Let's get started. Okay. Yep, there you go. Let me introduce myself. My name is Daizen Ikehara. I'm currently working at Twilio as a developer evangelist. My email address is dikehara@twilio.com. So if you have any question, please reach me out. Or I'm using Neri78 as a social ID. So if you're using Twitter, Twitch, GitHub, please follow me on those services. And don't forget to tweet about this talk or the work on events. You can ask any question in a chat of the YouTube or in a office or using the work on hashtag so that the organizer will take your questions. So let me introduce my company first. What is Twilio? We provide APIs for the communications. So you can use our APIs to send email or make phone calls or send text message to your customers. Right now, we have more than 10 million developers use Twilio, and we serve 202,000 customers in more than 180 countries. So we've been growing very fast. Just one more slide. So what happens with the Twilio? Whenever the Twilio number receives incoming call, it sends HTTP request to your application, and your application responses with the XML called TWEML, which has the instruction for Twilio to respond the call. In this case, yeah, we tell Twilio to ahoy. Then the voice is played. So this is the basics of our company's product. So we ask developers to use our APIs. So with that in my mind, again, my talk is how to make your participants love your workshops. So I have 3 points: when was, why to start, and the things I learned. So let's start with when was. So I'm starting with this phrase. It's because of actually the question to the audience. I know that we are using one of the streaming tools, and it's going to be not the real-time communication. But if you have if you have memory that when was the last time you attended an in-person event? Some countries started vaccination, so I know some people are starting seeing each other in person, but most of us are still in a lockdown or in a curfew or something like that. So please drop when you attended in a in-person meeting or event or workshop or training, anything. Yeah. In my case, it was February 29, 2020. So right before the first lockdown in Japan. So it's almost a year and 4 months since I attended to the event in person. So that was very long. Yeah. So what happened after that? Yeah, people started streaming. So people started going online to try to, broadcast for the DevRel stuff. At my Twilio, our team had a Twilio channel at Twitch. So we started streaming there as well. So I have never streamed before, but in April 2020, I started streaming. No, no, I never thought I was going to stream, but this COVID-19 situation forces me or had an opportunity for me to start streaming. So what happened then? I ended up having a lot of stuff. So, tech stuff. So as you see that, I have I don't know, 7 monitors right now. And I have the 2 lightings, I have camera, I have the mic. So people started streaming in this COVID situation and try to provide the rare or contents to their audience. But it tend to be like a one-way communication. Right now, I'm just talking to you, in front of the camera with the mic, but I really can't see or hear or anything. But what about training? Giving a talk is great. Giving a demo is great. But if people want to try out your product, they got something to do their own plans. So usually we provide documentation, we provide a quick start, or perhaps we provide training to them. But with the COVID-19, it's very difficult. So in the beginning, I didn't try to having the online training myself. I started streaming in April. Then after that, I spent like 3 or 4 months just streaming, but got realized people were requesting, well, people want to have the training for the product that they are interested in. So I started the online workshops on my side. So today's talk is going to be, how to make your online workshop or trainings more engageable, or having the people to ask questions in an online workspace. So why I started the online workshops? There are 3 points. One is the motivations. It's not like a motivation from my side. More than likely, the developers audience wants to try your product, so they want to have something to try, but documentation doesn't really work for you. You sometimes they need to have sitting in a sitting with some professional or expert to teaching or getting trained. So that's one thing I decided to have in the online workshops. The other one is the limited to the Japan. Now, we Twilio have a lot of good content, documentation, API doc, quick start. But for Japanese language, they don't really have the great contents, or they don't have the good amount of contents that I can provide to the audience. So I thought I needed to create the Japan localized content for those training stuff. And the last one is the needs from sales. So actual sales didn't ask me to have the online training, but they were struggling with the place that they can send to for their customers or their prospects to try out our products. So after 3 or 4 months, I decided to have the online training in Japan. So this is my very first online workshop for Twilio. It was held in August 2020. The setup closed Zoom meeting. So I just invited those attendees to the Zoom meeting. Then I open source instructions on the day on the GitHub. So I asked them to follow the instructions. And if they have any question, they can ask any question in the chat. It's pretty easy for the setups. You only need like a Zoom meeting, or you need to spend time on the instructions. Ask audience to ask any questions. So what happened then was not great. Yeah, I was the only one to show my camera. I mean, my face. I was the only one to turn on my camera. I was only one to speak to the people, and I didn't get a lot of questions. I kind of knew that this was going to happen, but I didn't know. I didn't know that brought. I thought somebody could ask question to me. Somebody is talking to me. With audio, but it never happened. So if you're anticipating having the online workshops at the beginning, it's nothing like in-person training, nothing like in-person workshops. So you need to think differently. So I kept thinking about what I can do or how I can improve experience for the audiences with the online workshops. But I didn't really get the answer until I met the person for this channel. So I had the opportunity to collaborate with this channel's organizer in September, October timeframe. So this Square channel provides IoT education stuff. They have the offline and online education program. And also they started this YouTube channel after the COVID-19 timeframe. And the tips they gave me, what the person gave me, was pretty excellent. It was amazing. I was like very surprised. Whoa, you can do that or something like that. So I'm going to share that with you. So the secret of the engagement is to having 2 people in an online training, online workshops. So usually you have the only one person as an instructor or teacher, telling you about stuff, showing you a screen, and telling you how to do it. But on the other hand, this is the we are having two people assigning. One is instructor role, the other one is a student role. And the important thing is the student roles doesn't have any knowledge about the product or doesn't know about any instructions. So student role is actually the same knowledge level as the attendees. And the person is going to share their screen to the audience and follow the instructions. And the key is the pace is the same as the other attendees. So usually if you're an instructor or if you created the instructions, you go very first, actually. I got complaints every time, hey, you are going too fast, please go slow down. With that in my mind, I couldn't manage or I couldn't adjust my pace because I knew what I was going to do. I know how to use our product. So having a student is very good for the pacemaker. So if you can assign another person, that'd be great. Also, I asked the student role person to ask any question, any kind of question. Best question is fine. So the student person sometimes ask like, "Hi, hey, I cannot find the button. Where should I click?" or something like that. It's okay to have those questions. People tend to think, don't want to be looked at like a newbie, a new person. So people are afraid of asking questions, even in-person events. And for the online events, who asked the question because there is a name for the chat. So people don't ask many questions, but giving the complaints in the survey. So this is the student role is a kind of avatar for those attendees to ask questions that they are going to ask, what they want to ask, but they can't. So I asked the student person to ask a lot of questions, and I replied or I answered gently, which gives the psychological safety for the audiences. It's very important for the new learners. I would say if you can ask a lot of questions when you learn new things, you can get better very first, rather than not asking and hiding the fact that you don't know anything. So this small minor change really worked well. So I can share the my students' comments. But what I did was actually replicating same thing. So I invited one of the person from the marketing org to present as a student role, and I asked the person to ask a lot of questions. Then I got these positive comments. You can read, but I'm gonna read up too. I'm also a beginner, so thanks to the person who plays the role of the student, I was able to participate with a sense of security. I think it was a very good initiative to have students. It was first time for me to have a seminar in which explanations were given through interaction with the students, but I think it was very easy to understand and effective. So people actually got the point, hey, I can follow with this student person, and I can ask a lot of questions, and student ask a lot of questions that I wanted to ask, or something like that. And to be honest, I have never seen any negative comments about having student role in my online workshops. So I've confirmed it's working. Then I repeat it again. So since that time, I provided a lot of new contents. I did a lot of the workshop through October 2020 to Q1 2021. So I've seen good results so far. So if you have never tried online workshops, or if you tried but it didn't go well, I suggest that you try this, that tiny small trick, but I'm sure it's going to be working for you. Okay. So I'm reaching to the very close to the end of my talk. I had 20 minutes, but I went to very first, so I'm sure that I'm going to have some time. So I can share my another findings, which I didn't expect it. So one thing is I started with the Zoom meeting as a platform for the online training. Then I opened up the Zoom meeting to the streaming. because I stream to the audience on the Twitch. So I tried various online streaming services, and very interesting and that I found. So like I said, my team started using the Twitch in April or March timeframe in 2020. I followed the Twitch platform for Japan. Also, I opened up my online workshop to the Twitch platform. But also, I tried with the YouTube channel. Actually, I kind of multi-streamed on the same contents to the different platform on the same time. Interestingly, Japanese audience prefer YouTube over Twitch. I know why. Because if you want to ask question, or if you want to type in the chat, you need to have account in each platform. And Twitch is not as famous as YouTube in Japan, so people don't have the Twitch account, and the people are very hesitant to create a new account in unknown services. On the other hand, YouTube is very famous, and a lot of people have already created a Gmail or a Google account, which allow them to ask any question on the YouTube. So I would say right now we are seeing like a 1:3 ratio for the audiences who chooses the platform. I usually put the two platforms as link. Hey, you can join either one of them. I see a lot of people are using YouTube. But on the other hand, the Twitch users are very, energetic and asking a lot of questions actually. So if you can find a good user from Twitch, it's going to be the best, attendee for you. But for a lot of majority of the attendees loves the YouTube. So you need to think about which platform do you use, what you should do. One advice for you, there's no answer. So you need to try with your audience, and you need to find the best ratio. Also, if you want to learn more about these platforms, actually, after my talk in a Sakura session, both are covered actually. So Mish Manners from GitHub is going to our Twitch stuff, and Matt Kiranda from Australia, New Zealand actually, is going to talk about YouTube as well. So if you're interested in, or wondering which platform is better, which platform suits for you, I encourage you to listen to their talk as well. So this is the end of my talk. Let's go online. Still, we're in the middle of the pandemic, but we can do a lot of things to your audience. And I hope that you enjoyed the conference. Thank you.